up, mamas? Thanks so much for being here with us again. We have Anna Cole for this segment. Anna began her career as an academic researcher and lecturer and wrote a PhD about the intergenerational impacts of the stolen generation, which is a systematic removal of children from their families on Indigenous families in Australia. She specialized in post-colonial studies at universities in Sydney, London, and Brighton in the UK. While researching a postdoctoral research fellowship in Australia, she gave birth to her second son and soon after met a mom at a playground who introduced her to aware parenting and then hand-in-hand parenting. She was so inspired by these game-changing ideas that she went on to train with hand-in-hand parenting when her children were young and became a certified instructor in 2013. She is now a certification mentor and regional lead for hand-in-hand parenting in the UK, where she's based with her husband and her two young teens. Anna, thank you so much for being here. How did that sound to you?
That sounded great. It's interesting though, like as a mom, the one little thing that I hear is, oh, actually I have a daughter and a son. I don't have two sons, but it's like in all of the qualifications, it's like that's the piece that kind of seems to matter. I have a daughter and a son.
Yes, a daughter and a son. Oh, that's perfect. And they're both teenagers right now?
They are already. My daughter's 16 and my son is 14. So that's amazing. How did I get so old?
I ask myself that every day.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to be talking about emotional and physical work of mothering today and what we can do to support ourselves. So, all right, Anna, what is Hand in Hand?
So Hand in Hand Parenting is a not-for-profit organization. It's based in Palo Alto in California. It was begun by Patty Whitfler, who's this inspiring woman who's now a grandma herself. She's got two grown-up sons and she's got grandchildren. And she began it really on the basis of her own experience of being a parent and realizing that before she had children, it was like the work she did in the workforce kind of counted. But when she had children, it was considered like that just happened behind closed doors. And she was like, well, we need support. Like, how are you meant to parent without support? So she started something called the Parent Leadership Institute, which became Hand in Hand Parenting. And so it's been hand in hand for about 30 years. Yeah,
wow.
and it has instructors all over the world. So they train instructors. They've always done online training since long before the pandemic. And so I was lucky enough to come across Hand in Hand. I might say a bit more about that in answer to one of your questions. But I came across Hand in Hand in Australia and then moved back to England with my husband and brought Hand in Hand to the UK. And we have a lot of instructors here now.
And what was it about Hand in Hand that made you want to share it with other moms?
Yeah, it was really the big light bulb moment for me was I met a mum in a playground in Australia and she said to me, how are you going? And I was like, I'm really stressed. I'm trying to do this hardcore postdoctoral research fellowship. I've got a new baby who doesn't sleep so well and is crying an awful lot. And I've got a 2-year-old who won't go to sleep either. And my husband's stressed and we're all stressed. And she said, oh, why don't you come to this parent support group? And I was like way too stressed to get to the support group. I was like, one more thing in my schedule? Are you joking?
Yes.
And so, but she suggested that I check out Hand in Hand and check out what it was. When your child's crying, that doesn't make you a bad parent. Like the whole sort of this whole new approach to emotional work for children and for parents was what really, really helped me feel better about myself. It was like, oh, okay, there's reasons that I'm losing it and there's reasons that my children are screaming, and that doesn't make me a bad parent and that doesn't make them a bad kid. Like this is part of the territory of being a parent. So that was amazing for me. Because before that, I sort of thought if my child's crying and upset, then there must be something going wrong,
Right. So are there specific groups of parents or specific parenting challenges that you enjoy working with the most?
Yeah, thank you. That's a lovely question. I mean, because I've got 2 children and because sibling rivalry, when my son was born, my daughter was 2 and she was not happy. And I guess my attention was really split because I was trying to do outside the house work and had a baby and had a 2-year-old. And so she really started to show quite off track. behavior, like she wanted to crush his little head and things like that. And so from a very early part of my parenting education, I began to work around sibling issues. So I love working with parents around supporting them with sibling rivalry and issues to do with that, because I've got such personal history with that. And then the other thing that really matters to me is that the hand-in-hand parenting approach is for all parents, regardless of income, or so that my dream is to get hand-in-hand as an evidence-based parenting practice, so that in England we call them local authorities, could have it. At the moment, I'm writing a funding application with a rape crisis centre for parents who've been through trauma, so that anyone can access the sort of support that we're offering. That's my high dream. That's my dream. That it's not just a private, it's not just something you have to pay for, but if you don't have access to extra income, you can still get access to parent support. That's my dream.
That's incredible. I hope you can be able to do that, because I think that would be absolutely phenomenal and much needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is the motto of Hand in Hand, and why do you feel like it's so important for parents to understand it?
Well, why I think it's so important is because it takes really complex issues that come up for every parent when they're parenting, and it turns them into 5 tools. So we have 5 tools we teach: stay listening, and setting loving limits, and special time, and play listening, and then the really important tool, which is called listening partnerships. And that's the tool for parents. It's parent-to-parent support. So at Hand in Hand, we say, if as a parent you are under-resourced yourself, you're not going to be able to do the best by your child. And so we say one of the best things you can do for yourself is to get listening time as a parent, where you can just do a core dump of what's really driving you crazy in that moment, and do that as an equal exchange. So it's not like you have to always go to a therapist, or you've got this peer support thing at the very basis of the approach. And that makes it really special. So, we always use this metaphor, if you're on an aeroplane and you hit turbulence and that little bing bong thing comes on, and they always say, please, make sure you put your own mask on before trying to help your child. It's like that. It's like get your own oxygen before you try and help your child. So that's one of the things I'm crazy about with Hand in Hand, because it just builds in that peer-to-peer support, so that you start to know, I'm not the only parent who's losing it, or I'm not the only parent who's struggling with this. It's a really beautiful model.
I love that. And you say you like to specialize in sibling rivalry because it kind of hits home to you. I have 2 boys right now. They're very little. One's almost 2 and one's only 7 weeks old, but they're going to be very close in age, and they're both boys. So what advice do you give parents who have 2 siblings that are very much in a rivalry?
Yeah, so that's amazing. Congratulations. And you're pretty amazing to have a 7-week-old and even be sitting at this desk and looking so beautiful, and like, wow. It took me about 6 weeks to even kind of be moving around again. It's really wow. So you have a 7-week-old and a 2-year-old, and I'm guessing, I might be wrong, but I'm guessing that the 2-year-old is probably really having some big feelings about, like, absolute joy at their new baby brother, but a lot of strong, probably even anger. I don't know if you're seeing hitting and stuff like that, but this is so common. This is so common, because what happens, it's a little bit like saying to your husband, hey, I love you so much. I love you, till the ends of the world and back. And I've met someone new, and they're going to tear our bed. It's like that. So it's that stronger feeling for your 2-year-old. And so what we really recommend is that you start with something called special time with the 2-year-old, so that he knows, maybe at the start of the day, that he gets like 5 or 10 minutes of absolutely uninterrupted, unconditional, non-judgmental attention. And kind of the key ingredient with special time is that you delight. You bring your delight. So with your 2-year-old, you could just somehow, if you can carve out a 5 or 10 minute window where it's just him, and you're delighted in him, and you just bring that attitude of whatever you want to play, and it helps fill up his connection cup. So he starts to know he can rely on this piece of time with mummy when it's just him and you. And it sort of helps him feel again how special he is. It's special time. And it's kind of medicine for a child who's feeling like they've lost your attention in some way. And actually we have loads of great ideas about playful ways of setting limits so that your son can feel a no to the behavior. Like if he's going in to hurt the 7-week-old in some way, getting too close, being over the top, you can scoop him up in something that we call a vigorous snuggle, and you can come and you can go, oh no, 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 no. So you're saying no to the behavior, but yes to him. So
I love that.
Because kids can start to feel a bit like, have I been demoted in mummy's affections? Yes. And what they don't know is that our hearts just get bigger. Like I remember when I had my second child, I was thinking, how could I ever love a child as much as I love my first child? And then the baby comes along and you sort of fall in love all over again. But I realized, oh, my heart got bigger. There's space for, there's absolutely still space for them. But my experience was my 2-year-old suddenly seemed so enormous. Like she went from feeling like this cute little toddler with this little helium voice to feeling like this thing that could hurt the baby, So it's good to do things like roughhousing, like pillow fights and stuff with your 2-year-old so that he can let out some of that. And you play like he's more powerful. That's really helpful to get that. We call that play listening. So, you 2 pillows and here we go, let's go. And he can kind of go, and you can pump, pump, pump. And if you can kind of act like, whoa, you got me, and he laughs, he can start to feel like, oh, mummy does see that I'm strong and I'm this great kid. So
that's like making me tear up. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go do this with my son to make him feel that way, because it definitely has been a struggle, and I love these ideas.
Yeah, we have a beautiful article that I often share with parents. It's called Preparing Your Elder for the Birth of a New Baby. It's called Preparing Your Elder, but it's also particularly good once the baby's around, and it's got just a few key things that you can do. Special time, definitely. Play listening, definitely. Yeah. And I would always say some listening time for you around, it's a big transition going from 1 to 2. So it's a little bit of listening time for you where you can like ring a friend and say, no judgment, don't fix me. I just need to cry about how much I'm exhausted and I'm missing having, I don't know, it's a big transition.
Yes. And you could be honest and just let it all out. I love that.
Yeah. And call it venting, just have a good
right. So as the kids get older, is the idea sort of similar to that? Like still giving, so say you have these 2 teenagers and there might be sibling rivalry. Is the idea still the same where you give them individual time, or how does it work as your kids get older?
Yeah. So now my kids are 16 and 14. And I do want to say that because I've been using the tools for that for a long, long time, I don't see a lot of sibling rivalry. People are actually a bit surprised. They're like, wow, your kids seem to like each other. Whoa. It's almost like it's unusual. And even I was watching an American show called, what's it called? Modern Family. Did you see it? And I love it and stuff. But the norm is that the kids are, the sibling, that's like, it's funny because it's so typical. And I was thinking, that's not actually how it has to be. It doesn't have to be like a teenager thinks the younger one's stupid. But if my kids do start to, if like, for example, when they were at school, they haven't been at school for a while because of the quarantine. But when they were at school, sometimes my older daughter would come home. She would be like, maybe, oh, you're stupid or something like that. And I would immediately know, wow, something's got to her. And she's going down the pecking line. She's going straight for her younger brother. So I will still do this thing that I've done for years and years. I'll go, oh, you know what happens in this house when someone's mean to their brother? They get 100 hugs. And I kind of go bumbling after them and pretend to. And even though she's 16, it's still, she kind of goes, oh, Mom. But, you can feel that she's like, oh, great. I'm still loved. I'm getting a limit. So I'm not going to be mean to him, but I'm still loved in this situation. It's something I've been using for a long time. And I still use unannounced special time with them. So with a 2-year-old, you'd actually say to your son, hey, I just learned this really cool thing. It's called special time. Would you like some? Me and you, just me and you, not the baby, not daddy. It's just like one-on-one time. And he could do special time with his daddy too. And you could love bomb him and both of you do special time with him when the baby was asleep. That would really make him feel great. But as they get older, if I said to my 16-year-old daughter, I've got some special time, she'd kind of roll her eyes. So I do it unannounced. Like she might say to me, oh, Mum, I've got really sore shoulders from carrying her school backpack or something. And she'll say, can you give me a shoulder massage? And even if I'm thinking, I'm so tired, no way, I'll think, oh, I'll do this as unannounced special time. So I'll kind of move in with that same, I'll look at the clock and I'll go, yeah, I'll do this for 10 minutes and I'll give it my everything. Like I'll be really present. I'll be really delighted. I won't be worrying about my shopping list or my concerns about work, or I'll just be with her. It's like a kind of mindfulness practice, just bring your mind back. And something happens. I think people can feel the quality of our attention. I don't think it, I know it because of mirror neurons, like if we're getting alarmed, the person with us gets alarmed too. It tends to work like that. So if I'm giving her my full, undivided, delighted attention, she feels it, she starts to relax. It's kind of a good circuit. So yeah, I still do the tools with my kids. I still look for, play listening is when we look for the laughs. And I'm often, particularly at the moment, because they've been in this stressful situation without much access to friends and things, I will try and just what makes them laugh, what helps them laugh, and then rinse and repeat. So with 16-year-olds, it's harder, but funny things on Instagram, and if she finds it funny, like be delighted and be interested, and
that could be hard sometimes with some of those things, but yes.
Yes.
You're secretly like, I don't really care about this, but I'm going to pretend like I do because I love you.
Yes, it's really true. It's really true. It's, 16-year-old girls do like to chat and sometimes I'm like, oh, okay.
I love that.
But I notice if I can meet her where she's at, it just everything goes better,
Yes.
And something happens with teenagers too, where they start to do this neural pruning. So their brains are changing and they read expressions and things very differently to adults. So if I'm just neutral, she can be a bit like, what's wrong? Are you annoyed with me? But it's like, no, that she's just reading me. Their brain's changing, and it's one of the things that teenagers do. So being delighted in them deliberately can really help warm things up.
That's incredible. I love that advice. So Anna, thank you so much. Anna Cole, Hand in Hand Parenting. We appreciate you taking the time to be here with us today.
I appreciate you, Lorraine. You are incredible. I appreciate
Far
you.
from it, my friend. But thank you so much.
Thanks for everything you're doing. It's incredible.